Hello guys, hope everyone's doing okay. Yeah, so this stream we're going to be focusing almost entirely on eyes. Might do a little bit of retopo testing stuff. Off stream, I bought yet another software to add to the list of softwares I own for very specific tasks. I bought RAP, so R3DS, Russian 3D scanner, which is really cool. I did a very quick test in it, but nothing really too major. So it was more just to kind of get everything planned out, like how I'm going to use it and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to use what I did off stream because, as I said, I kind of want to keep as much work as possible on stream for this. But yes, I did this run. This is the Perot's geometry applied to this guy. I'm not too happy with it. Russian 3D scanner did a great job. But I'm not too happy with the way this topology works on him, and I'm also in general not too happy with the topology of the Pero anyway. There's a lot of small things that bother me, like this 5-star and that 5-star not lining up. They're actually on like different loops. Same applies to that one. Like I'd like to have like a little quadrant here. But yeah, this would be able to give us like a really strong starting point. Maybe I can get the face from Twigs, use that to like, remodel a lot of stuff and save some time. But yeah, we'll be retopping a certain amount of this project from scratch anyway, so we'll kind of see how it goes. But yeah, so other than that, it's just a case really of continuing on what we're doing. I'm waiting at the moment to be sent some stuff. Turns out, like I messaged James from 3D Scan Store and was saying how I'm looking at trying out some of your scans, like getting some displacement, and wanted to know like what you suggest in terms of workflow for getting it. And he mentioned RAP. So while I was chatting to him about that, that was loud. But he was saying about potentially sending some files. So just for me to try out. So I'll leave topology until that, just so I know what's going on. I'm just going to close the window because the wind's blowing the stuff around. There we go. It just blew the blinds thing off. But yeah, so while we wait on that, I'm just going to continue to work on the eyes, figure out exactly what we're doing, try to make it a little bit more like anatomically accurate today. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I guess let's get on with it. So there's a few things that I've found that I've definitely done wrong. Let's just quickly apply a new mesh to all these, a new shader to all these. So I'm going to create a blend. Make it transparent, and then let's set this to render viewport 2.0. Oh, that's already set to depth peeling. Alright, cool. So things I want to fix. One is naming. So we've got iris outer. I'm going to rename that to be a little bit more accurate because it's not really an outer layer. It's called a stroma. This is just kind of the cloudy layer, which is a bit more visible in terms of like how it's cloudy on blue eyes. So yeah, rename that. That'll make that a little bit easier to use. And yeah, let's just kind of go through layer by layer and see what we need to change. So the cornea itself is mostly okay. There's a little bit of kind of a mound on the inside of it, so I need to edit edge flow a few of these loops. That will help that stay a little bit more even. And then do all the loops that kind of go around that. Just to kind of round it out a little bit better. Cool. That's a little bit smoother on the inside now. Good. Just get that. Edit edge flow on you. Just gonna bevel that actually. nice and round. That'll do. Right, so that's me okay with the cornea now. Let's move on to the lens. Lens, I mean, it's already very, very subtle what it's doing in terms of the actual setup. It is round though, so we'll leave that alone. Fluid. So fluid, I feel like we're gonna need to adjust a little bit. Mainly because at the moment it's barely overlapping this, and it's causing a few issues with the iris. So in fact, we'll get to the iris first. So iris inner is the one I'm thinking of. Another problem with the iris is that it's currently way too thick. So the back layer of the iris is about right. This is fine, but the stroma on top is way too thick. So we may need to move the whole thing forward a little bit, because currently the combination of these two is like ludicrous. Yeah, like that's how thick the iris is, which is way too much. So yeah, let's correct that. So what I'm thinking, if we remove this transparency, if we reduce the depth of this and then move everything forward to compensate. So how do you grow a selection in Maya? Select, grow. Okay, so it's the sideways arrow. Okay, let's pull that back a few. It's a bit flatter now. And then we can just use the stroma. We want this to mostly line up at the back. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, we may need to do a camera-based selection for this. Okay, that worked pretty well actually. Okay, just going to turn off symmetry. Okay, so let's get that. So that gives it a little bit more of an accurate depth. Although we are pushing through at the back there, which is not good. So maybe we should flip all this too. So I don't know technically how this should attach. I have a feeling I've got it wrong. And something else I need to fix as well is the way this attaches to the back of the cornea. So another thing I've definitely got wrong is the thickness of this pupil kind of border. So let's just scale that to get it to sit right. Okay, this is going to be insanely subtle. I can't just inflate it, can I? No. Why is it instantly jumping up like that? Do I have it set to oh, there we go. It had snap step turned on. There we go. Okay, let's fix the part of the stroma. So what I'm going to do now is just push all this out with no soft slits. Okay, there we go. Section of stroma is getting fucked up here as well. Just push that through. So we will need to remodel a lot of this. Oh, actually, that back bit we shouldn't push through like that. Be much better to do this. There we go. That's a bit better. Let's line all this up. So something else that's worth considering is that pupils aren't perfectly circular. Like, they're just not. So we do need a little bit of variation, which I can do with this guy. Let's just grab like that face there. That's one of those things that this will make like a quarter of a pixel difference. But if I ever do any close-ups, it will be there. There we go. There we go. So we got that working. Right, so we need to look at how the iris connects to the back of the cornea. So let's remove the stroma. So what I noticed in the... oh god, this is going to be a nightmare. Is my cornea modeled with the correct amount? I keep doing that. I feel like I need to move this backwards. Yeah, that overlap was way too much. Would have been causing issues. Okay, that might have solved the issue that I need. But one of the things that I did notice is that the cornea... oh, sorry, the iris. Let me find a an image to show this. 1 second. I have an image somewhere. I'm looking for it on the other screen right now. Basically, like there's kind of like a little like cavity almost where the iris connects to the back of the cornea. This image kind of shows it, so that's, I'm not going to use any medical diagrams, but you see how, yeah, there's the iris. It kind of attaches to the back of this, like that. So I need to replicate that. Have I jumped the shark? Absolutely. Does it matter to me? For some reason, no. Right, so... what's going to be the best way to do that? That's the attachment. Technically, the best way to do it would be to grab that loop. So it's a very small radius like that, and just push that back like that. And then we can use that. Okay, let's bevel that. Then edit edge flow some of these guys. Okay, and something else that might be a bit of an issue is that this kind of mound comes up in front. And what I did notice in a few references is that the pupil as a whole isn't actually perfectly flat. As I said, not perfectly flat. It is a little bit kind of bowed out. So, what's going to be the best way to do this? Sculpt deformer would probably work quite well. Okay, I'm going to duplicate these for a moment. Merge them. Just to do a test run. Let's throw in a sculpt deform. So there it is. That is surprisingly performant. We want this to project, I believe. Okay. That's not what I want. Flip. Okay, that's what we want, just a much lesser. How can I do that more softly? Because I don't want it to cause intersections like that. I want it to kind of gently push it out of the way. I feel like project is the way to do it. I just don't know how. But that's not really doing a good job of maintaining distance. So weird, why does it do that? Oh, because it's trying to project to that, okay. Okay, that's not going to work. What's the next best way to do this? Wrap deformer, potentially. If I duplicate this guy again, delete the back of him. That's convenient. Oh no, it isn't all of it. Okay, cool. So let's just delete the back of this guy. Okay. This is our new wrap deformer. I'm gonna simplify the mesh a little bit. This will vaguely match it. Okay. So grab these two, and then I think it's wrap you to you, and deform. Wrap. Okay, so now if I move this guy, there we go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is select the innermost loop of this guy, and let soft select do the rest of the work for me. Okay, so now the way this works, if I go into the soft select, I set the profile that I want now. Which I believe that one will work quite well. There you go. So now I can just boost that out. So it ends up still being a little bit flat. Let's go into that wrap deformer. That works. Okay, let's compare those two. Just delete that out for a second. No, that's definitely not the way to go. Okay. We'll leave that for now, we'll come back to it later. So fluid we now need to adjust to match up to all of that. Currently the fluid does that. Actually, that might match. With the new position, like, it actually kind of might work. Yeah, with the new positions of this, actually might work. Okay, that's fine then. So let's do a test render of this, and I'm going to have to start creating the kind of fibers inside the iris. I am also going to group these, because I'm expecting to do iris group. I'm expecting to do a few geometries for all this. Okay, so we've got template eye group. Let's get this scene saved. Go into Alembic, cache, Alembic, export straight into Alembic. I'm going to go to modeling, Maya, exports, eye template. Okay. Let's go into here, and I'm just going to create a new Importomatic as a temp. Add Alembic. I'm just going to do eye template. We'll have to fix the iris outer. And just add stroma. And while we're at it, let's rename this. Okay. Okay, that should work. So, scene graph, viewer, test cam. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have to boost the density of the stroma. I've accidentally broken the material assignment, I think. Okay, so that still works. Let's go into geometry. Okay, we're just going to have to do some pruning. What's this one doing? Okay, keep that one in. Let's remove these. See if we're getting any materials going through at all. If not, we can check the attributes and like brute force it. Okay, so that's getting its material. So why is this not getting its material? Scene graph, stroma, attributes. It's not got material assigned. Okay, it does have that though. Interesting. Oh wait, I know it'll be. This is looking for, yeah, there we go. Getting some displacement issues there. Or smoothing issues, sorry. There we go. So we are seeing through it quite a lot. Which means the density needs to go up a little bit, because it's a lot thinner now than it was before. So this shadow is surprisingly dark. I wonder what difference, how much of a difference the eye fluid modeling makes. Probably not a huge amount, honestly. This is shadowing a lot worse than it did last time. Like a lot worse. I'm wondering if maybe it needs the overlap for it to work. Or it might not be shadowing actually, it might be the color below. Let's test that out. Trying to think. Let's just do a vary. No. Ramp, I guess. Ramp RGB. Let's see if this makes any difference. If the shadowing is bad still, then we know it's not the textures doing it. Yeah, looks like it's fine now. Okay, so it's the texture below it that we need to fix. Okay, which means that that's fine. Might be a little bit dark maybe, but still. I'll say dark, it's actually the opposite. Let's go 2.5. Then we'll need to move this ramp a little bit. So what happens if we do that? Genuinely could just be the fall off as well. But there's still a little bit of a line. I'll put that there for now. Not as far out as it was. And we'll boost the density of the fog. Let's go 2000. May have to go to a lower step size. Oh yeah, so that boosts the density quite a lot, doesn't it? But it raises the quality. Okay, that helps a lot actually. Okay, so let's go back into that material. So let's remove a 0 because we just made it 10 times smaller step size. See what this does. Okay, yeah, it's working now. But it's still quite... Is this non-linear? So we are seeing through it again. What's transparency depth the issue now? Let's crank that to like 6, see what happens. Double the brightness of it. I feel like this is reacting a little bit more healthily now. Still a bit too dense, so let's drop that density again. Obviously, every time we change density, we're going to have to adjust the color to compensate. Just the way it's going to be on this. Well, it's giving quite an interesting effect. The thinner areas are getting more of that kind of tone. Is that something that actually appears in ref, or is that just something we have to learn to work around? There's a little bit of that. Granted, the shape of my stroma isn't correct for this eye. And mine's a bit more heavily layered. I think this heavily pigmented area needs to go further back. Obviously the colour's completely not right, although the caustics of the top layer do kind of change that a bit. Let's just go move this further that way, move you further that way. And this is the eye color to match. That line's going to be a problem. Unless the refraction doesn't actually make it out that far. Could also be a problem with the density of the stroma. Maybe that reduces. That'd be something I have to read up on to know for sure. Bit better. I feel like increasing the scatter color is also having an effect on the actual density of it, which I guess would make some sense. Okay, so let's get the other parts of the eye in there. And then we can start getting the fibers. Okay, how high res is this rendering? I'll do square 512. Make it 4 times faster to render. Because at this point we're still doing very, very vague details. Well, there's not even details. Something as well that I've recently learned I don't understand as much as I thought I did is, so the red eye effect at the back of the eye. I've been watching a lot of like kind of medical things recently, and one of the things mentioned in that is that the back of the retina has like a really dark pigment to it, which helps keep the pupil black. It stops light bouncing around inside the eye, which makes sense. So my approach of doing red inside the eye, which is what my assumption was, is wrong in that case. So I need to find out what the red eye effect is on a more physical level, because apparently I'm wrong on it. It did say specifically the back of the retina, so maybe that actual what's the word I'm looking for right now? Maybe the pigmenting is only at the back, so the red eye effect is light hitting like the sides of the eye, like bouncing off the lens, hitting the side of the eye and that sort of shit. Although that wouldn't make sense either because it's been focused. There's something I need to learn about that. This is quite successful, I feel. This is working pretty closely to that. It's not as dark as this one, but it is working. Yeah, let's get started on doing the fibers. We need to figure out how we're going to do that. So the fibers I'm talking about, like these, like stripes. So obviously the natural instinct is groom, but I'm not sure how I'd do a groom template for that. Like I have no clue. So what I'm gonna do is convert a groom to geometry, and if it's too heavy, like if it ends up being too many polygons, we can bake it down onto cards, and maybe I can put like 2 layers of cards inside the strummer. One of them with one layer of fibers, one of them with another layer of fibers. So we'll give that a go first. I'm going to let's hide everything except the iris, and I'm going to get this guy. Fiber base, and we want all these fibers to attach to this inner side of the pupillary ridge, I believe it's called. So let's just do that. Okay. Okay, that didn't work for some reason. Let's hide that. What's happening here? Select, invert. Weird. But okay. In fact, we need another layer of that, don't we? Okay. So we got that. We're just going to deflate that very slightly. Literally just so that it sits inside. We're going to use that to grow groom. So I'm going to do this groom with Yeti, I think. Although I'm not entirely sure how we can use that to get back geometry. So we'll find out how to do that. For now, let's just go Yeti, create Yeti node on mesh. I'm going to move that off screen for a second. Open up the Yeti graph editor. Okay. Okay, so density multiplier. So they're pointing forward, which is a little bit of an issue. But I guess it makes sense because the normals are pointing that way. So what I might need to do is just temporarily I'm going to no, that doesn't work. We need this to be flat. Like completely flat. There we go. Okay, so show both of these. Now we can flatten that out. So the way I'm going to do that is just insert this. Let's do that. That's flat enough, I think, to not cause issues, so let's just insert a loop down the middle. And then that shouldn't be popping through anywhere. It's not. Good. That's fine, actually. In fact, actually, when this gets smoothed... Oh, it doesn't. Alright, good. So let's grab you, Yeti, create Yeti node on mesh. Get back into that Yeti graph editor. Go 1000 on this. Cool. That works. Good, good, good. Okay, so obviously that grow needs to come back. We're just going to throw the length multiplier down until it works. We want this to reach the end, so let's go 4, 5. 4, 2, 5. Close enough. Okay, so let's create a width node. I don't think we want any taper on this. Set it to 1, but then we'll just set the multiplier to be really low. Okay, that's good. Let's add a little bit of randomness to that, which randomness only subtracts, which is worth being aware of. Okay, and rather than be in this view mode, I'm going to just slap this all the way down. And let's get the stroma visible too. Okay. Okay, let's throw another 0 on this. So one thing we're going to have to do... Second, this is really bothering me. There we go. So one thing we're going to have to do is get a little bit of scraggle in this. So let's get this guy back on screen. So there's a little bit of like a clumpiness to it, a little bit of a waviness. So the way that I'm going to achieve that is I'm going to duplicate these guys. Like that. Let's just preview those guys. Okay. We're going to remove a 0. Like that. And we're going to throw a scraggle onto these. So let's just turn... I don't know, we can keep that high. Let's just increase the frequency a little bit. Okay. So now we've got that. We're going to convert that to guides. So let's go... where's convert? It's been a while since I used Yeti. Let's convert. Fibers to strands. Okay, so that's working, good. Set that to 1. And then we put a comb in there. Plug that in. And there we go. We're getting a little bit of waviness from it. Okay, so let's go into the growth for this guy. I'm going to increase the segment count a little bit. Let's go 16. I'm going to have to increase it on these guys too. Okay, and is there a way to set that scraggle to only be in certain directions? Can't remember if there is. We can always reduce the scraggle, which will do the same thing, essentially. But yeah, now basically that is giving us random direction. And we can change the amount of that by changing this density. So if I want more random variations, I just press 2, and it will slowly but surely vary it up a little bit. Okay, so that works. think I might... Maybe curl will work better? Let's give that a go instead. Probably won't, but let's give it a try anyway. No, definitely not, Jesus. Okay, so we got that. Let's just go in and throw a scraggle on this guy. This one's definitely a lot more clumpy than what I've got. Although I'm kind of accidentally getting these gaps. So we'll see. We'll probably render something close to this pretty soon, just to see how it looks. Obviously got some fibers coming out, so we'll need to fix that. In fact, yeah, let's quickly do that. I think that's being caused by this guy. Partially. Okay, we're just going to change root scraggle. Okay, that'll do. So we definitely need to kind of bend it all forwards towards the tips, which we can do with guides to kind of get exactly what we want. But I think as a test we can probably do that now. So let's see if I can convert this to geometry first. Yeti, convert to my objects. Okay, so let me just save my scene. Yeti, convert to my objects. So that creates curves. Oh, it's one curve with like, what, 1,000 shapes. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, so we got that. Okay, so cache, alembic, export selection to alembic. Okay, it didn't do it, so that means we need to save this. Util, flush caches. Cache, alembic, export selection to alembic, iTemplate. Okay, so let's see if I can remember how to render. I think it's a AOS, right? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go into here. Set that to custom, temporarily just drag that in. We can always change it after. In fact, I think we need to do that, right? Let's just go to min pixel width 1 just so we can know it's working. And in theory that will already do something. It won't have a material, so it look very strange, but it will work. In theory. That's about what I expected. Okay, so now I need to figure out how do I do the width. Is it curve? That's good, that's working. While that goes, let's go into here. In fact, I'm just gonna region render that even closer. It's doing something. I can see some little stripes in there. Let's compare that to a few renders ago. Yeah, it's rendering. Throw that off screen. Iris mats. Let's duplicate this. Iris fibers. Okay. And for that, what shader should we use? I'm going to create a hair material, I guess is the best bet for that to surface. And I'm going to put this same color, so let's create a ramp. Copy this color. In fact, we can't copy colors, can we? 0.55, 0.6, 0.54. Okay, kill that. I'll plug you into scatter color. And plug you into color. And we're just going to go into this guy, go to color, set melanin to 0. Melanin redness, although it doesn't make a difference at this point. Roughness, going to whack that up. Diffuse. Also need to plug it into diffuse color. And we'll go into diffuse. Add a little bit, let's say 0.2. Okay, so I got that created, and we're just going to go into this. Duplicate you. Scene graph. Okay. I'm just gonna we'll have to render a close-up pretty soon. In fact, I might quickly do that now, save us time. So I'm gonna connect you up and just render that. In fact, we'll probably throw the back of the people in there too. Yeah, the fibers are rendering. I feel like we're gonna need a bit more density. It is working though. Don't know why the reflection is that color. Like the reflection seems weirdly brown. That's not just me seeing that, right? We're going to easily double the density though. Easily double the density. Let's see how this renders if we set it to thick mode. Okay, let's temporarily also remove the strummer. Just see how they look on their own. See if they actually are returning a brown color. They are. Interesting. Okay. So let's go into our material then. Let's try setting that to be fully diffuse. Did that change? Okay, let's try selecting one of these attributes. It's getting base map. Okay. I'm gonna go into the parameters of this guy. Gonna add another statement, custom. Okay, there we go. Jesus, that's a lot brighter now. Okay. Okay, so let's get rid of that diffuse element. Okay, let's remove diffuse entirely, see how that renders. Then we'll fix the width. Oh, okay, so that's making it a lot whiter. Tint. I'm gonna tint primary spec down to 0. See what happens. Still glowing out. Let's throw a standard surface on instead. I'm going to kill spec as well to make that render a bit quicker. I kind of prefer the look of the I mean, this is more accurate color-wise, but I don't want to go putting some surface on that. Okay, how about a different approach? How about we let it render white? So that should be like crazy, crazy light, right? Yeah, that's what I expected. But then if we go into, is it advanced? Specular is in tint. What if we just put this in there? So spec 2 tint and transmission tint. There we go. Because for me, that looks better than that. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay. So let's show the stromer again. Okay. Remove selected paths, and then we can start playing about with width and all that sort of stuff. That's better though, that's a lot better. So width needs to go down. Let's go 0.5. But I am going to, in fact no, I won't add variation yet. I'll add variation soon though. Just popping through a bit there, but I don't think we need to worry about it too much. I think that's a good width. Okay, so let's start adding variation. So 0.005. Let's go random. Random max. And go 0.00. 02. I doubt there's that much variation, but we'll just see how it renders. Overall, it thins it out a bit as well, which is good. Because obviously the average is brought down quite a lot. That works for me. Okay, so let's start playing with density a little bit. And this is where not having it in here is detrimental. As in not having it in a Yeti groom. But the thing is, for pipeline reasons, this is a lot easier. Like a lot easier. So I'm just going to delete that. And basically whatever we make goes back into the eye fibers. So It's going to Yeti graph editor. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to increase the density of this guy. Let's triple it. And we're also going to get all this and do some clumping. I forget you can't tab and type. Of course. I should have connected that up first. I cancelled that. I saved recently, so it's all good. Okay, let's get Maya open again. Yay! Okay, let's get flush caches while we wait in. Okay, and then this is the one that I just saved. No, it isn't. Weird. Modeling, Maya. How long ago was that? 53? Oh shit, it was a little while ago actually. Although I might have been in Katana that whole time. If not, luckily backup files do work with Yeti, unlike XGen, which, well, at least when I used to use it, the crash files don't save a .xgen file at the same time, so you lose your stuff. Okay, that's fine. Cool. So let's go into Yeti. Yeti graph editor. Okay. So we're going to grab all this again. I keep forgetting. Okay, I'm just gonna take that down by 0. Okay, so let's increase that. I'm gonna add that 0 back in, but then, in fact, no, we're not. I'm gonna just increase it by that much. Get a little bit of a scraggle going on here as well. Massively reduce it, naturally. There has to be a way to set it so it's only in a certain axis. So I don't want any in the z-axis. We're going to allow them to pop out the stroma and see what it looks like. We needed to increase this a bit, right? Oh, we also need to decrease this. Okay, let's set that grow. Segment count's already pretty high. Let's triple it. so annoying. So I need this sort of stuff. I can do it with guides, obviously, but let's just do some random. Oh, it is already set to fully random. Alright, so 05. We're going to allow that. Okay, so go back to this guy. So with this one, we're going to half it. We're also going to add full randomness again. We're going to need to crank up that. Let's go 64 points. And then the frequency is going to have to go to like 12. 52. There we go, we're starting to get a bit of something now. Maybe that was the problem actually earlier. Let's go back to that grow. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So now we need to create a ramp. Or curve, sorry. Put that into weight. Invert that. There we go, that'll do. Okay, so let's get that turned into a mesh. Save our scene. And we'll probably actually, while we're at it, we're going to want flyaways, aren't we? So not every single hair is pulled into this, so let's go 10%. Okay. Got that guy. Cool. Outliner. Yeti. Convert to my objects. Surprisingly performant, honestly. Wait. Oh, we lost the group. Alright. Okay, what was it called? iFibers underscore group. I'm gonna change it to I underscore fibers. Okay. Okay, get that exported. Cache, Alembic export selection to Alembic. Modeling, Maya, export, iTemplate. Cool, so let's get into Katana. Utils. Oh wait, we don't need to do that. That needs to be updated to I underscore fibers. This needs to be updated to I underscore fibers. Down here needs to be updated to I underscore fibers twice. And while we're at it, update this guy too. Okay, that should be fine. Let's do a test render. Definitely need to get that side to side stuff going. But we can do that with guides. We've got a little bit of it for now. This is definitely a lot denser than what I've got. Although it could be that they're all thicker. Like, is that a single one or is it a clump? Hard to tell. They also get more wavy towards the top, which mine doesn't. But that will definitely do as a proxy. So let's celebrate by kicking off a really long render. Okay, so I'm gonna finally update this as well. I'm on version 2 now. And if this works, we can then go through and copy it to our guy, Singer Sargent. Which is why I wanted to keep it as like geometries. Well, in this case, curves. So it makes that process a lot easier. Whereas if it was still like procedural, still in Groom, it would be a little bit more chaotic. It's going to be so slow to render. While we're at it, we might need to desaturate the color a little bit. Another thing we'll have to mimic as well is the different densities of the stroma. Like, we'll need some kind of noise, because if you look at this, I mean, the difficult bit is, like, it also adds a little bit of brownness. Like, as the density of the pigment increases, it gets less transparent and more coloured. So mimicking that means we're going to need like a map to kind of drive it, which is a little bit intense. I need to do another pass on textures as well to get something a little bit sharper, a little bit nicer. And I also need to get these rings in there. Which actually we can do now, right? Yeah, in fact we can do that now. Hey Ray Overdose, welcome to the stream. I think this is my first time seeing you here. Are you someone I know, or are you someone just from the depths of online? So this person's iris is like really stretched out to the side. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of pointy. I need to mimic that at some point. But yeah, so what I need to do to get that to work is I already have a map. Yeah, so I already have a map. So what we're going to have to do is select this guy. Oh, crash. I'll let it do its thing. I've already killed this render. Might have just crashed it. Again. Just gonna mute myself so that while I have a drink. I've been sitting here for a while, just noticed the live chat. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's crashed again. Okay. Yeah, at some point we'll need to re-sculpt the stroma to not be just a carbon copy of the one from the Pero. Obviously this eye is like considerably more complex in terms of setup. Oh, it worked. Okay, I'm gonna Alt save. And then scale it down to match your position. Okay. So let's go into here. Let's go into scene graph, flush caches. So many overlapping UVs. We'll probably set this up in some kind of UDIM workflow at some point. UVs, oh no, cache, alembic, export selection to alembic. iTemplate. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll quickly enable this guy, which I believe still includes the yep, iris inner. Cool. So I'm just going to start a render of that. This render's a lot quicker, but I'm still going to kill the fibers as well. Make it render even faster. And then let's move the view a bit closer. Okay, there we go. So, if we go into iMats, we've got this here, which is again just a volume render of a geometry, so we can still displace that geometry. So if I create a image node, I'm going to go and copy. I'm gonna go copy this. Okay. And then let me just quickly go in, copy the name of it. Get that guy. Okay, so if I just throw this on, it's obviously going to break, but we'll see the point of it, like, you know, it actually works. Yeah, there we go. So if we do a AI layer, layer RGBA, I'm going to put the top layer as 0.5 and set that to 1. Then every layer on top of that, so let's call this base. Every layer on top of that, input. I'm going to set that to rings. I'm going to steal your idea. Yeti hair for sure was trying to sculpt that stuff. It's not my idea. That's the best bit. If you just search groom iris, you will find quite a lot of people doing it. There's a Japanese artist, I believe, who did it. He did a video like he tried to build the entire eye with groom, which I don't personally like. This is not how eyes are built. But he breaks it down quite well. Granted, in Japanese, so you have to just watch the video. And also, Kristen Fahrensteiner, she did a really nice Houdini eye groom. There's been loads of people who have done it as well. People have been doing it for actually years at this point, which is mental. Although a lot of people aren't combining groom with like the stroma rendering, which, to be fair, this is massively overkill, so I don't blame them. But yeah, it's just something to be aware of. Let's create a range node. Put that into input. Okay, and I'm just going to set this to be minus 0.1 to 0.1. Okay, that's still going a bit far. So let's set this to 0.1 as well. Okay, I'm just going to go into the catalog here. There we go. That's it working. Granted, I think the size of these rings is a little bit small, which means my UV's in the wrong place. May also still be too. Let's do that. Test how that renders. Okay, so we're maxing out on depth a bit though, which means it's passing through itself, which means I need to pull this back. Okay, so let's fix the UVs. Let's go even smaller. Something like that might be more accurate. Okay, go to UV. Not UV. Export selection to Alembic. Okay, let's go into here, monitor. There we go. So now we're getting those lines in there. Which granted now will show up less like grooves and more like areas of lower density. We do need to get a displacement of some type on this to get a bit more detail into it. I think it needs to go even smaller still. By the way, I'm pretty sure I found you through ArtStation, but can't find you now to check out your stuff. No worries about taking away my attention. I really enjoy interacting with the comments. This is my ArtStation. Okay, so we're going to make this a tiny bit smaller still, because that line there is crossing. So I'm going to go into Util Flush Caches. Let's make this even smaller. Which means at some point I'm just going to need to up. Okay, then go to Cache, Alembic, export selection to Alembic, template. Can't write file. Okay, let's try again. Cache, Alembic, export selection to Alembic. There we go. So that will move the grooves out a tiny bit more. Followed you yesterday. Oh, cool. There we go. That's better. So, does my density need to go up? Let's let me just think for a second. I'm gonna remove that prune. Zoom my camera out a little bit. Scene graph. Okay. I'll leave that to render for a moment while I check out some stuff in here. hide this. By the way, you do a regular reflective surface for the iris for eye redness, or is there some trick? So the back, so the red eye thing, basically, I've recently found out I've done it wrong, but the back of my cornea is painted red. And so what's happening is if you shine a camera directly through the pupil, shine a light, sorry, directly through the pupil, it's just bouncing off it. It's not a reflection thing, it actually is a subsurface or diffuse that you see. In fact, I've got spec turned to 0 inside the eye. The reason it only shows up when your camera and your light is pointing that way is because, obviously, if light hits back here, it's not going to bounce back out the eye unless the light and the camera are in the same position. So you get away with quite a lot. The downside to the setup is currently my pupil never reaches full black. But then part of that could also be caused by the fact that oh god, what's the word I'm looking for right now? Part of that could be caused by the fact that the eye is outside of the head. So obviously you're getting a little bit of subsurface from the lights behind the eye, which you wouldn't get in a real person. So when I actually add all the stuff around this, you don't see it. Okay, so something that still bothers me is this line, but it's coming from the transparency. Is there a min pixel width that I've got set, or is this just noise? There isn't. Alright, that's a good thing. We should set that back to ribbon. It's not going to give us any real pro. Any meaningful pro anyway. Does it make it brighter? Okay, so I guess while this is going, let's get this copied over. So how many polygons is... So each eye is currently 22,000 polygons. Not counting the curve, which is obviously 0 polygons. I'm going to need to get some guides in there at some point. But for now, that will do. Let's get that copied over. So, what I'm going to do for that, let's go to iPose. Okay, we're going to duplicate this guy. And put him inside here. Okay, then we select him, then him. Someone showed me that trick yesterday and it's amazingly helpful. And for the other side, because it's still mirrored. Okay. That's for the translates, but then the rotates I need to delete these. Gonna call this one RI group. Call this one LI group. Okay, that's that one done. And then we're gonna duplicate these. Delete those two. Drag those into this group. Okay. Scene is struggling a little bit. Okay. Let's check the size of these scenes. 45 megabytes. Nah, that's fair. Technically should probably instance these to make it a little bit easier. But instancing groups is always a little bit, yeah. But yeah, so let's pose cache alembic, export selection to alembic. So is that working? Let's test it with the yeah, that works. It's a little bit, can't tell if it's too dense or if the curves are too thick or if they are not transparent enough or if it's just a color thing, because obviously the color's not matching this. It's closer to this, although it's got a bit too much range in it. Let's just throw that onto there. We'll need to update this. Okay, so is that done? Turn that off and render from this guy. I love that sort of shit. It just makes me laugh. Plus it's a bit bright right now, but then everything's a bit bright. His pupils need to be open a little bit wider. In fact, quite a lot wider. This is in a dark room. Although I guess technically right now this makes more sense. But at some point, yeah, we will have to do that. Which, due to the fibers, is now more difficult than ever before. Should we do a quick pass of... Because I don't want to do retopology until... Oh, well, I don't want to do retopology in the same stream as like this other stuff. Because it gets a little bit messy. I kind of want to keep it in its own stream. His eyes are a lot more wide open than this one. These are too bright though. Definitely. Oh, excuse me. Okay, let's try a test camera. Scene graph. See how this looks. Something as well that I've noticed in the this high-res ref is the actual color of the eyelashes is affected by the width of the hair, which makes sense because obviously the melanin count stays the same, but the amount of melanin that can fit in this space reduces. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to actually set it up so that my shader, the melanin count, is based on the width. Because obviously the shader itself won't respect it, but I can probably write out an attribute that will do that for me. Let's just quickly move that to the side a little bit. We're not going to worry about meniscus or anything yet. Yeah, I need to get this in there at some point. Yeah, I think mine's too dense. Well, not, sorry, not too dense, too thin. These are individual fibers. So I can reduce my thickness and then play about... oh, sorry, I can increase my thickness, reduce my density, and then try to get this kind of waviness going. What's my test cam set to? Field of view wise. FOV is pretty low. This person's is so much less visible, it's interesting. Might try this chuck in Houdini. Go for it, man. Okay, so color-wise, what do we need to do? I think mine's a little bit too bright right now. So let's fix that. I'm aware that lighting is different, so I need to be careful how much I change this by. Let's set that to like 0.4 maybe. Hey Ray Overdose, is it you that just messaged me on our station? If so, thank you. I really like that. It's very nice. Oh, he literally just messaged me. That's pretty funny. Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate the comment, man. So I think mine might be too dark. Or maybe not. Hard to tell. I think it has to go just a tiny, tiny bit lighter. But I'll leave that as it is for now. Let's do a test render of this guy. Okay, then let's just get So I think my eyes need to go a little bit more bloodshot as well. But we'll probably move on to texturing them once I've got a bit more of the body done. Like once I've done retopology, got some basic UVs and maybe displacement on the skin, I can go into eye color then. The thing I quite like is as I've added this the feeling of depth has increased by darkening it, which is interesting to me. Like, it feels like the contrast between this bit and this bit is a lot more than with that. Even though, like, it's the same, it just feels like it's had a bigger impact. Yeah, that's working. Alright, cool. So, let's move that over there. I'm trying to think what's the best bit to do next. I need to do a bit of work on the caruncular as well. I'm still going to do... So I was looking into caruncular anatomy as well, or caruncle anatomy. Obviously it is like the same flesh as, you know, all this. It's not a separate piece, but I'm still going to model it as a separate piece, just because I'm going to really struggle to get the correct blend, I think, if I model it on. Like, it's going to constantly get distorted. I can always boolean it back on later. So do you plan to do live stream for the whole project every day until you finish it? Every day in the sense of every day that I work on this, I will stream it. However, I won't be streaming every day because I want to, maintain some level of a personal life. Spend time with friends, play guitar, whatever. If I worked every night, I'd get very, very dull and very aggravated quite easily. The days of doing that all the time are behind me at this point. Right, so let's work a little bit more on that groom. View it. Scene graph. Gonna put it at kind of an angle. Do a test render with that. I wonder why this bit's so light. Anyway, let's get into Maya. Kill these. Get this open. Just gonna kill that and continue to work on it from here. Okay, so I hate the fact that these are the order that they need to go in. Right, so let's try to match the thickness first. Get this ref back over here. I'm gonna treat that as the thickness of the single strand, which obviously mine is way, way off. So let's just reduce the density. I'm gonna go a factor of 10 for now. That is too much, but it will help me at least. So I'm going to treat that as the thickness of a single strand. Okay, it's definitely too much. Is that right? Maybe a little bit too much. I think 0.4 was the closest. Alright, cool. Let's add the 0 back onto this. These curves. Curves are really annoying. Is it being caused by these? It is. Okay. Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake. Mire open again. Okay, open. I think I need a little bit more pigment for the Caruncle Rough. Not Caruncle Rough. What the fuck is a Caruncle Rough? For the Pupillary Rough? Pupillary, yeah. For some reason I was really struggled with that word then. Okay. So we're going to kill this off. Go back to eye template group. Gonna hide everything that's in here. Gonna delete what's in here. Gonna reopen you. Yeti graph editor. Okay. So let's hide you. We seem to get wavy towards the ends, right? Just not as random. Distribution uniform. Let's reduce the frequency a little bit. Okay, I'm going to create another curve. Scraggle, multiplier. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's get another scraggle in there. let's go with Scraggle Root. Not Scraggle Root, sorry. Let's go with Scraggle Random. Then we're going to up the frequency, let's say 24. Okay, let's go to Yeti, convert to Maya objects, hide that for a second. Give us a moment to think. Okay, we're just gonna drop that into here. I'm gonna hide it while I'm at it. I don't think it makes a difference to the export, right? Just makes it heavier in my viewport. It's like the only function it has right now. Okay, so let's go to cache. In fact, no, let's not yet go to cache. Okay, so scene graph, util, flush caches. Now export this cache, Alembic, export selection to Alembic. Maya has crashed, so we need to find it again. Template I. Cool. We then just going to give me 1 second. Oh yeah. Okay, got that open. Viewer. I'm going to enable the prune in here again. Does it write the visibility? Util flush caches. Cache Alembic export selection to Alembic. Is it literally not there in the? Oh, it is there. Oh. There we go. and the viewport just doesn't know what to do with it. Scene graph, let's close that up. So these are going to be too thin. That's fine, because that's what we expect. Okay, there we go. Then we just need to bump up the width of these. So let's go to here, and then that needs to go up. Made it 4 times thicker, right? Let's double it for now. I'll double both of them to keep it proportionally the same amount of variation. I think that'll do. Okay, we're going to add a randomization to this. So there's our base call. Ramp iris call. And then, is it vary? No, what's it called? Random? Wait. Oh god, I can't remember how to do this. Let me just search AI random Arnold. Call it jitter, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, there we go, okay. On a per object basis, I'm going to set that to 1, just see what this does. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's go 0.1 minus 0.1. Gonna let this get cleaner. Yeah, it's in something. Okay, let's go 0.2. Minus 0.2 as well. Point 0.2 might be a bit much. Is it not a multiplier? Actually, that might be okay because it's getting sampled back into a reasonable range. Okay, that's a tiny, tiny amount of hue variation. 0.01, then minus 0.01. I'm gonna reduce the max saturation gain. So what we'll have to do when we do make guides is kind of bump them up at the start to kind of get a shadowing around the edge of the iris. But for now, let's do a test render without the prune. Now this is going to be extremely slow because of how close I am, but I think it's worth testing at this range. I probably will end the stream relatively soon. At this point I have been streaming for 2.5 hours. I want to see how close the feeling of these is. Granted, I'm still missing a lot of texture and stuff. And then we'll get it copied over to the head, and then we can, yeah, next stream, which will either be Wednesday or Thursday, or it could be tomorrow. I'm not sure, depends on what I'm doing tomorrow. Next stream will be like retopology on the head. I might start with something from Wrap and then just kind of augment whatever I make. Not entirely sure on that yet though. I'll zoom out actually, this is a bit intense. Okay, while that goes in the background, I'm gonna close this and let's start copying this to everything else. Ah, wrong one. copy these over. Okay, let's grab that. Okay. Cache, Alembic, export selection to Alembic. I'm also like 90% sure that the variation we've added has gone too far. So let's just pull that back. Mainly the gain. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to leave this rendering so I can post it on Facebook, and then I'll do a render of the character in like the usual pose for the progress render. There's no point doing any of that on stream though, so I'm going to head off. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. So it's definitely the most complex one I've made. And it's gonna be a nightmare. Like I've got to clean up this shader setup, but this is all my shaders for it, which is honestly kind of silly. But I'll get this cleaned up off stream, just kind of naming things and organizing it. And then yeah, next stream will be tomorrow or Wednesday, possibly Thursday, but it'll definitely be like Thursday or earlier. And we will start on retopology. Whether or not I use wrap to kind of block it out with like the topology from twigs, I don't know. We'll figure that out. But yeah, in the meantime, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll get back to you in the next one. Right, see you guys.